Well, now this lawmakers are claiming that the communist government of China is undermining the U.S. by fueling anti-AI data center protests. Here's what President Trump had to say about that. Roll it.
No, I'm not worried about it. We had a great meeting with China. And, you know, they do things to us and we do things to them. I say it all the time. They say, oh, are you worried about China tapping your phones? I said, well, you know, they're worried about the same thing. No, we're very highly sophisticated. We've become very highly sophisticated. We had 4 years. I rebuilt the military. We had a military that was not good, and we rebuilt it.
Gordon Chang is here with me now. Well, as you heard, Gordon, he didn't deny that it was happening. I mean, there is evidence, is there not? And describe what it is that the Chinese are actually encouraging the anti-AI data center protests here in the United States.
Yes, those protests are not entirely organic. Now, of course, locals do have a lot of concerns, but the protests themselves are being funded by China. And we know this is part of a larger effort because it's not just they're opposing data centers, they're opposing AI development in general. Remember, Bernie Sanders had that April 29th meeting up on Capitol Hill. It was done by video, and he had Chinese scientists participate. Those Chinese scientists could not participate in that event, which was supposed to be supportive of Bernie Sanders and AOC's bill that would put a moratorium on all data center construction and enhancements until Congress could figure out guidelines for AI, which would mean never. It would mean never.
Any sign that Chinese Communist government money is going to fund these protests?
There are a number of studies that show that, and also Neville Roy Singham, who's the American billionaire, but he works in coordination with the Communist Party's United Front Work Department on narratives. He's funding data center opposition as well, part of it through Code Pink, who is co-founded by his wife.
All right, take a look at this, Gordon. China is reportedly using LinkedIn to lure spy recruits. How are they getting away with this?
They're getting away with it because we've known about this for a long time, but as a society have decided not to do anything about it. So this is not, you know, it's not just Chinese doing this. We've known this for quite a couple years now. We have the means to stop this, but we're not stopping it, and that's on us.
And what can we do at this point?
Well, the most important thing is that we employ asymmetric tools. So, for instance, you know, the Chinese need the American market. The Chinese need this from us. They need that from us. And we need to start denying those things to impose costs that are greater than the benefits that they perceive they get through using LinkedIn and other sites. So, yes, this is a problem, but we have tools to deal with this.
Another one, Gordon. Arthur Liu, father of Olympic gold medalist Alyssa Liu, says his daughter was targeted during the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing. Listen.
It was very clear in 2021 that she was going to represent the United States of America in the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing. And that's when the Chinese government targeted me and also her. The reason why her? Because she posted news reports of the labor camps and the persecution of the Uyghurs in China.
And there's another backstory to this, Gordon, which is yesterday was the 37th anniversary of the Tiananmen massacre in China. Her father, the man who you heard speaking, was a participant in those protests. So they are particularly anything that deals with Tiananmen. They want to lock it down, silence it, and he and his family are part of that.
Yeah, well, Alicia, his daughter, she posted something when she was 11, and this was in 2018. So, you know, the Chinese government never forgets because, as he pointed out, in 2021, it was clear that she was going to represent the U.S. in figure skating in the Olympics in the following year, and then they started to go after her and her dad. So it shows you how comprehensive the Chinese effort is to go after Americans of Chinese descent, whether they're citizens or non-citizens.
And they focus on international organizations, whether it's the Olympic Committee, the United Nations, or even the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church made what I consider, and I think you consider to be, a bad deal with the Chinese government that allows an atheist communist government to veto their picks for bishops in China.
Yes, and the Catholic Church in China has been decimated at a time when Christianity in general has been doing very well in China. The Protestant house churches are booming, and the Catholic Church is losing adherents from all that we can tell because of this 2018 agreement that was not only negotiated and signed, but it was also extended, and it's now in effect until October 2028. And the Catholic Church is going to suffer more and more because of that agreement.
And quickly, Jimmy Lai, any news on whether or not President Trump is pushing hard enough to release him from the prison in Hong Kong?
We don't have any news except from what President Trump said after the summit, where he said that the Chinese, Xi Jinping, won't let him go.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we should stop, but we need to press further on this.
Griff, I know the president is between a rock and a hard place. He has a lot of the right feelings about these things, but he still wants to deal, has to deal with China as one of the biggest trading partners in the world. So how does he come out on all these issues?
Well, he's threading a very difficult needle, obviously. But, you know, with his 2 trips now to China, both have brought back significant billions of dollars in trade deals and in businesses cutting deals. So that's why he's trying to walk a fine line. But it's important to point out, and Gordon did a great job kind of laying it out, the Chinese don't play fair. At every single turn, they're trying to absolutely turn our economy, our way of life, upside down. And Gordon mentioned it's not only just this case we're learning about the Olympic spies with this skater, but also Roy Neville Singman that you're talking about, the husband of the co-founder of Code Pink, that is literally manufacturing everything to the recent protest we're seeing out at the Delaney Detention Center. I think one thing, by the way,
his niece actually organized Jews for Zoran Mamdani,
right,
in New York City before the election.
I think the last thing I'd love to say that was left out of the Alyssa Liu story is she's intimidated and harassed by spies in 2022. In 2026 in Milan, she won a gold. So take that, China.
Got it. Griff, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gordon.